With a Strictly Come Dancing theme with my shirt, just to distract you from what I'm going to say. I'm the CEO of a charity called Global Action Plan, and I want to take you back to 2002. So just to let you know about 2002, the Ford Focus was the best-selling car, Will Young was the best-selling artist, and Charlton Athletic, the club I support, were still in the Premier League. So we weren't talking about a very sophisticated year. And at that time, Global Action Plan was about trying to help households live more sustainably. And we'd come up with this brilliantly titled initiative called Action at Home. It was basically a cross between Blue Peter and Environmental Weight Watchers. We sent out packs to households who signed up with a different theme every month. So we had a pack on waste and energy and transport and water. It was so worthy. It was fantastic. 35,000 households signed up to it. But we started to notice a trend. The first was that when we got to the transport pack, interest dropped off massively. We also realized that there was no topicality in it. It was really, everything was just the same. We were sending out all this information. We were just hitting the knit your own yogurt brigade. We'd hit the sort of people who were interested in this sort of stuff, but we weren't really going any further than that. And frankly, I was bored. It was so dull. So we looked at all these things and thought, well, what can we do? And against all the numerous advice we got, we decided that we were going to create the UK's first green glossy magazine. There's a copy on your desk, on your tables. It's called Ergo. So we advertised. I managed to get some fundraising. Some very creative fundraising was done. And suddenly in the office, glamorous new people started to arrive with names like Gaia Vince and Tamazin Cave, with sort of fashionable clothing and address books to die for. And they started to put together this monthly magazine. And we were really delighted with the magazine. Every month we had different topics. So we had topics like conflict diamonds. We were talking about this strange sort of idea of having beehives on your roofs and urban roof gardens, plastic bag debate before that debate started. We were really at the cutting edge of sustainability. And we had celebrities coming out of here. So like I said, we had Andre 2000, we had Benjamin Zephaniah, Helena Christensen, Jimmy Doherty before he became famous, and as you'll see from the one on your desk, Jon Snow. It was glitzy, it was glamorous, it was sustainability and lifestyle all molded into one. And two themes came through on all of this. One, there seemed to be a real drinking theme. So we sort of noticed that the editors would fly off to New York to go and have a look at the green drink scene in New York. And at the other point, and I never unfortunately got to the bottom of this, gratuitous nudity seemed to sort of ebb into all of the magazines. And one of the ones on your desk says boudoir chic. I have no idea at all what that's got to do with sustainability, but apparently it does. So we had this great glossy magazine, but unfortunately behind this veneer of success, failure was looming large. The first, we tried to sell advertising space, and in 2003, 2004, the whole sort of green market just wasn't there. So we really, really struggled to bring any advertising in. We then started to get the magazine out through retail outlets. Borders took it just before it went bust. I don't know if there was a connection between the two, but anyway, they took it. So I strolled into Borders to try and find this magazine. I went to the lifestyle section, it wasn't there. I went to the conservation section, it wasn't there. I found it eventually in the gay porn section. People just clearly did not know where this magazine should be placed. And also, it created massive disruption amongst the charity. We're a behaviour change charity. We're like working through projects, working with businesses, schools and social housing. And all of a sudden, this magazine arrived with pulses of activity and people working through the night to hit deadlines, then disappearing again. And the disruption in the organisation was quite significant. But crucially, we just didn't get the membership and the subscriber numbers up to a sufficient number to sort of cross the threshold of profitability. And eventually it became a choice. Either the whole of Global Action Plan goes under or we cut Ergo. And yes, we cut Ergo. So, you look back and you think, well, was it worth it? What did we learn? And I think we learned a lot of things. The first one was that I still think sustainability is terribly communicated. It's just really worthy and dull and hard work. And I still go to so many debates about how do you get the sustainability message across. I think the magazine actually went some way to starting to get the message across in a way which was quite compelling. We were identifying trends and things and social sort of shifts and patterns that were actually on the cusp of happening. And I do think there's a role for a magazine or some form of communication that does that. Secondly, the writers who started to write for Ergo have gone on to do amazing things. So in the magazine, Lucy Siegel started to write through Ergo, and other writers who are now in the Metro and writing regularly on magazines like the Metro actually started through Ergo and started to get their sustainability teeth into the whole thing. And for Global Action Plan ourselves, the footprint of Ergo in the way we communicate is still there. We're still looking at ways we can change how we communicate. So we're still looking at, for example, using interactive displays and physical ways of communicating the message and trying to pick out the stories and themes that we know are in the media and that we know excite people. So I think all of those things mean that whatever happened to the magazine, and it dived, and I've put one on each table to double the readership of it, basically, it didn't work as a magazine, but conceptually, I think it was really important for us as an organisation. So that's why I put forward it as our heroic failure. Thank you.
Excellent stuff. So Trewin has shared his glamorous, ahead of its time, gay porn masquerading publication. And Robert, what would you say comes across in terms of Trewin's attitude to failure? Why do you think this failed?
Well, it ultimately failed because there wasn't a market for it. And I was just making a note here to say, but never let idealism get in the way of doing something that's right. And I think for that, Trewin has got to be massively applauded. And actually, if more people set out down that idealistic path, maybe the market will grow and begin to exist. I think there is something there. I have to say, I've never before thought about sustainability as a form of gay porn set against the backdrop of boudoir chic. But I think that maybe if we leave today's meeting and think about that, maybe a different kind of market would emerge and exist. I think you're right, sustainability was terribly communicated and continues to be terribly communicated, and that's actually a failure that we should all take some responsibility for and not celebrate, but actually do something about. But ultimately, I think that the great thing about what Trewin was saying was that he took that failure and took a learning from it and has insights into it and can build from it. And that in itself, I think, gives him a decent score of 7.
7. Fantastic. Okay, so 7 from Robert. Charmaine, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think I would echo what Robert said about the learning from the emphasis on learning. I mean, I think that was amazing. But the thing that really struck home is how you recognised it was a platform for other people to do more. So the ripple effect from that. And I think that's the key thing that I took away. If the world didn't have Lucy Siegel, I think we'd all be wearing a lot worse clothes, for one. But also, we probably wouldn't be as informed as consumers. So I think that was the key. Do we have to give our scores now? Or?
Yes, well, why not?
For that reason, I think I'm going to go with an 8.
Go with an 8. Fantastic. Okay, Dax, what can you add to our insightful analysis?
Well, I think Trewin's absolutely right. Normally, this is done very badly in a very dull way, and to see this sort of green bling is fantastic. When I heard about Ergo, I'd not heard about it before. I was expecting some sort of dull green sort of thing that you sort of normally expect. and here the ambition was fantastic and the execution seemed to be great. And it just, I guess, was ahead of its time. That's why it sort of failed. And I think even the sustainability press now is still in the ghetto. So actually the fact that your writers have gone on to write for, mainstream publications like the Metro, I think actually that is a real success because that's where we need to see it. So I thought it was fantastic. It's completely far away from a dismal failure. It's much more of a heroic failure. So I'm definitely going to give that an 8.
Fantastic. Okay, so that gives Trewin a combined score of 23 for the bleeding edge of sustainability magazine publishing. Big round of applause for Trewin.
Just one point on the Gerald Ratner story, which isn't often told, is that Ratner had made that gag about 20 times before in different speeches. But he was so smug about the fact that everyone thought it was funny that on that occasion, he sent out a press release. And that's what brought him down. So it wasn't that it was new news, it was the fact that he had the arrogance and the hubris to try and celebrate the failure of his own product.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you, Rob.